welcome, hola, what's good? Hey, y'all, hey, you are tuned in to Circle Up with Amanda Hurd. What's good, family? Listen, we are here finally, but not finally because this was such a good season. But season 6 is wrapping up. We are at our final episode for this season. This has just been a phenomenal journey for me. I pray that it has been the very same thing for you all. I pray that everybody has found a jewel that they were able to take, grab hold of, and be able to just allow it to light up their path. It was something that they were able to share because of how beautiful it was. They were able to share it with their friends, families, co-workers, whomever they are connected to, and just share those lovely things that they've been through, that they went through, that they've gained, how God has been pruning you, fine-tuning you for this next level. Although it is a little bitter, it's also so sweet because all we talked about was after this pruning season, how God was preparing us to getting us ready and conditioned for our next. And so only if you have been allowing God to do that work inside of you, this season that we are entering into, this next place that we are entering into is going to be our best place. And I'm just super excited about that because I believe every time we enter into a new place, it should give us something better than the last place did. Not even saying that the last place was a bad place or the last place was our worst place, although those are some of the conditions that we find ourselves in, but that our next place is just greater than the last place. And so that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that as I'm transitioning into this next space, it is the best place yet. I have allowed God to take away all of the things that He has shown me that needed some fine tuning, that needed to be ripped away, plucked up out of me and removed so that I have more room to grow, more room to learn, more room to move in Him, more room to allow people to come in, more space and places for me to be vulnerable to these and those that I may, reach out to, that I may now connect to. And so I'm excited about that. My prayer, again, I say, is just that you are in this very same boat with me and that we are ready to take on what's next. I know that was a mouthful, but I'm excited about it. I'm so excited about it. So just a quick wrap up of this season. We literally talked about a handful of tools. Like we talked about being quick to listen and slow to speak. We talked about being pure-hearted in our giving, seeking someone to devour when we go into these places when we're trying to get our lick back, as some would say. Like, how are we and why are we doing this? Like, what are we doing? Are we trying to really hurt them or are we trying to grow them? We talked about being rooted in maturity. We talked about failure due to fear. Many things we have not reached the place of success to simply because we never even stepped foot in that place due to fear. We talked about correcting the red marks. We've learned that on this journey, there is so many times where we have been found and will be found wrong, guilty. But what are we going to do about it? Are we going to correct those places or are we just going to continue to allow them to grow as a part of us and say, well, this is just who I am? We talked about blank over everything, putting any and everything before God when He should be our first and only covering, our main covering, the thing that the one that leads, guides, protects, and all. Everything should come underneath Him. He should be number one. We talked about what are we reflecting? What am I reflecting? What do I look like? Who am I mirroring? What am I mirroring? And prayerfully that it was pointing right back to Christ. And then just last week, we came to our sub wrap up, and that talked about how prayer is not a punishment. I have a sister that always says, girl, I done got a pop. God done pop me. I did this, did that, and here I go again with another pop. I believe that was my time of pop. Like, as she would say, that 2-finger pop ain't nothing to play with. And literally, as many of you know who continue to follow the podcast, I enjoy praying. Prayer is my thing. I love it. I love it like I like coffee. I love it. And so whenever I get a chance or whenever I go into prayer, it's my happy place. And for God to just meet me right there, for Holy Spirit to just show up every time, over and over again, infilling me, refreshing me, giving me what I need, and that place to be everything. And then I show up at our appointed time in our appointed place, and I act as if it was a punishment. Woo, child. That pop was not fun at all. But I'm just so glad that he showed me the error in there. He showed me and reminded me of what all takes place in that time. And I was able to get myself together, or more so he got me together. But anyhow, that was just a great place. And so today, during the wrap up, I just want to go a little bit further, share my very last jewel in this area. And my prayer is that if there's any jewels that you have, if there's any things that God has been correcting in you, because we all have our separate lives, we all have these separate journeys that should lead to this one path back to Him. And we all have, different situations and things going on. So I'm pretty sure if we have opened up our heart to Him, allowing Him to come in and really prune those things inside of us, that we all have an extra little story or so where He has been cleaning up some stuff inside of us. And so if that is you have something outside of what was shared in this podcast, listen, I would love to hear it. I would love to share it. I would love to help you share it. I'd love you to share it, and us here at Circle Up help you put it out there, and so that other people that may be experiencing maybe something that you went through, your personal experience, you're able to share that jewel with them. And so if that's you, please reach out to us here at Circle Up. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Circle Up _AH, or you can simply send us an email at circleup.ah@gmail.com. And listen, somebody will get back with you ASAP, and we will do whatever it takes to get you aired. But let's waste no more time. I believe we are a good 7 minutes in, so let's chat. Grab your snacks, drinks, and chairs, and let's get ready to circle up. So today I want to talk about just the pruning process all in all, because as I was just sharing, as I was welcoming any and all to share their story, I want you to know that it does not stop with what I share. It does not start there nor stop there. That was literally my personal experience, the personal things that I had going on that God has helped clean me up from, clear my slate from, and grow me in those areas. And so just because those are some that I shared, it also doesn't mean that those are all that I shared. There's a whole list of things that I can continue on and go about. This season could literally be a year-long season, because each and every day, each and every week, there's a new experience, there's a new trial, there's a new learning, there's a new thought. And all of them may not be big, but it doesn't mean that there's not something. And so my encouragement here is that, you really kind of pinpoint places and areas in your life where you are starting to witness where God is, maybe this is God that's dealing with me in these areas. Everybody keeps speaking of this particular thing. Maybe He's trying to show me something. How can I get these things together? And sometimes I think that is where a big area of stress lays, because we do fall in the place of what can I? And although it is a work that we should do, there's still this big space where we have to become this little I and fall back and allow God to become the big G, all of Him inside of us, and literally do the pruning. So yes, it will take a work. Yes, we will have to act upon what He is, showing us, revealing to us. But you have to understand that some things are out of our hand, And so working the work may look like practicing going against the thing that He's trying to strip us from. But hit the part where we allow him to fix, fine tune, and change is where we be submissive to the thing that he's showing us and stop trying to protect the thing that he's showing us. So I probably talked about this in an episode in a different season, but sometimes we get to a place where we just adapt to the things that are negative or the things that don't make the greatest parts of us and claim those things to be who we are. Yeah, I did talk about this. I talked about this in one of the earlier seasons that dealt a lot with being you, being authentic, being yourself. And so the more we be authentic, the more we be ourselves, the more we grow into who we are truly called to be, the easier it will be for these things to be worked upon. It will be for us to allow him to have complete control in our lives. Let's break that down a little bit more, because I know that was a mouthful. So being authentic, being you, being more of who he has called you to be is not what you think you are. It's not just what your culture calls you. It's not just what, your scenario calls you. It's not just what those at work call you. It's not just what your children call you, but there are multiple names. There are multiple things. There are multiple styles and gifts that God himself has labeled you with, that has labeled us with, that we denounce every single time. We try our best, unknowing sometimes, unwillingly sometimes, depending on how deep we are wrapped up in culture, situation, school, or whatever has taken us from that place. But there's so much of us that gets ripped away from the labels that God has given us. And we have now conditioned ourselves to go more so with what man calls us. And so when we get wrapped up in those places, when we get so entangled in those places, we literally lose so much of ourselves. And losing ourselves, it calls us to fight for a place of finding our identity. And when we're in that place of finding our identity, it's so frustrating on that journey that we just begin to adapt and accept the things that are not truly us. And so we say, with this bad attitude, that's just who I am. I've always been like that. My mouth has always been snappy. I've always been loud. I've always been, a brat. I've always been. And just because you have always practiced something that is not who you are truly labeled to be does not make that who you truly are. There has been so many people, I think we can all kind of testify to this. This is a mutual ground one. There's been so many people that we have seen in positions. Let's talk about job ways. Like, we've seen people that were labeled managers, right? In particular businesses and stuff. But when it came to dealing with the people, they lacked all management skill, all management responsibility. It's as if they went all the way back to who they accepted themselves to be called, or accepted themselves to be, talking about the raw and uncut side of them, and they forgot who they were actually meant to be in that place. And so with that, it's like they lean on the excuse of, this is just who I am. And so we look at it, we now begin to look at them and say, well, they ain't no manager. How did they ever get that position? How did they ever, how are they going through this time frame being in this position and nobody stopping them or calling them out? This is falsehood. This is folly. Something ain't right about this. And the same way we can look at that and recognize that, we must understand that other people that are around us, that see us, that are allowing God to work in them, that are trying to reach for that place of success, that are allowing growth to take place in their lives, when they see us moving and acting in these manners, they see the truth, which is we are not being authentic. We are not being who we were called to be. We are so far away from who we truly are. It's okay to be a sweet person. It's okay to be kind. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to have weak moments. It's okay to be strong. It's okay to be brave. It's okay to be focused or headstrong, but it's also okay to not have everything that your neighbor has. We are all unique in our own ways. And so in order to literally be fully of who God has called you to be, you have to be okay with accepting who you truly are, and that is who he's called you to be. And so when you get into that position, when you take off those ways that are not of you and put on the ways that are all of you, it will be so much easier to allow God to be himself in you, to be all of him in you, and do the work that needs to be done for you to grow. And I know that was a lot, and I know that could have been a very conversation that I feel like was kind of broke up in 4 parts. But I really pray that if you need to, you just rewind and listen again, rewind and listen again, rewind and listen again, because this is so important for us to really grab hold of the exciting parts of what I speak about. Like when I say, the next place is going to be the best place yet, we cannot take part in that if we are not allowing God to truly do the work, if we are not doing the work that he has assigned to us, if we are not following in obedience, if we are not surrendering to the process, then when we move on to that next space, it will just be a repeat, a recycle of what you just left out of. And that is not my desire for anybody that I'm connected to. That is not my desire for anybody who is really in that space of wanting and hurrahing and cheering to get to that next place and has high hopes in that next place. Because if you're winning, or if I'm winning, I desire for you to be winning. If you're winning, I desire to be winning too. So this whole thing is so that we can grow, we can learn, we can stretch together, we can have all of what we have together, and we can, do this journey together. But it will not be a successful journey. It cannot be a successful journey if we are not moving in a place of authenticity, because in that place is the rawest place that you can allow God to do any and everything he desires for you. You can receive all of what he has for you. It's so hard to receive what he has for you when you are pretending to be something or someone that you're not, because then what is for you does not fit you, because you're pretending to be somebody else. And so if we really want to live that out, what's mine is mine. If it's for me, then it'll be for me and I'll have it. If we really want to be that, then we have to be us. And so my goal today, this podcast today, is literally just to really open our hearts and our eyes in that light, like really be able to expose that place so that more of us will become more of us and draw near to him. Well, that's all that I have for you all today. I pray that this episode was an episode that was really going to challenge you, grow you, stretch you, reach you to your next best place. I pray that there is a jewel or two, maybe a few in this episode that you're able to pick up, grab, and allow to lighten your path. You're able to share with your family, friends, cousins, nephews, nieces, whomever that's around, strangers, whomever. I just pray that this is one that doesn't just stop here, but it continues to impact and grow the community. I love you all lots. I'm super, like I said, excited, but it's like a bittersweet moment because I don't want to close this. I don't want to close this season out. It's been a wonderful season, but I'm so excited to jump into next season. So, I was gonna say until next season, but y'all know how we do. We are entering into our break season, so you may not hear a series of events going forth, but we will still have our Monday morning prayers every Monday. I encourage you to continue to tune in, begin to share these Monday morning prayers, because I'm learning that as beneficial as they are for me, I'm beginning to get responses back, and people are telling me how they're so beneficial for them too. So share them with your friends and family. Continue to tune in on Fridays and check in on Thursdays, because during this process, the break process, we may be releasing some stuff on Thursdays, but tune in Thursday, Friday, and we're just going to have those moments of encouragement. We're going to have some fun guests and entering into season 7. I'm so excited about this season. We have the title. The title is He Keeps on Blessing Me. There is going to be testimony after testimony after testimony of just people, individuals, even myself, maybe even some of my family members coming in to share how God has been continuing to bless them throughout this past season. And so I'm just excited about it. I cannot wait to share these testimonies. I cannot wait to allow you guys to, or just give the opportunity for you guys to hear these stories. And I pray that as they bless me, they bless you. Well, that's all. It's a wrap. Love you lots. Bye.